Hello everyone. In this video, I will go over my solution to the problem named Eternal Victory, taken from Codeforces Beta Round 57. This problem is rated 1800, and this is not just a random TP on trees problem, but this problem is designed and chosen because it has a DP on tree state which is similar to the previous one used for tree diameter. And from this problem, we'll understand how to find the base cases and the recurrence for this new DP on tree state. Again, the recurrence will be the main takeaway from this problem because the base cases will be obvious for this problem. So let's look at the problem statement. In this problem, we are given a weighted tree with n cities and n minus 1 edges because it's a tree. And we need to find the minimum cost to start from node 1, which is the root of the tree, and to visit all the other cities. And the cost of any such tour is just the sum of the weights of the edges we traverse. So in the first sample test case, we are given n is 3 cities and there are 2 edges connecting them with weights 3 and 4, and the optimal path would be to go from 1 to 2 and then from 2 to 3, and this clearly has a cost of 7, and that's the answer for the first sample test case. For the second sample test case, we again have n is 3 and the 2 edges are of weights 3 and 3, and in this case the optimal path has to go from 1 to 2, then from 2 to 1, and then from 1 to 3. And you could also have a path where you instead go from 1 to 3, then from 3 to 1, and then from 1 to 2. Both of these paths will have the same cost of 9, and that's our answer for the second sample test case. So the first idea which can come to our mind is that there will be 2 cases to consider which will motivate our 2 DP values which we will store for each node. So the first case is that the tour will start from 1 and end at 1. And the second case is that the tour will start from 1 and end inside the subtree of 1. And the way to understand why these are the only 2 cases is because we set 1 to be the root, and hence we know that a path should either end inside the subtree of the root or it should end at the root. And as we could see in both the sample test cases, we actually ended inside the subtree of the root. But in general, these are the 2 cases to consider. Now the second idea would be to just use DP on trees with these 2 criteria as the DP state. So that means our DP state will just be DP U0, which corresponds to this value, and DP U1, which corresponds to this value. And obviously here we are considering the subtree of U. So let DPU of 0 be the min cost for case 1 and DPU of 1 be the min cost of the tour for case 2. So the formal definition for our DP state would be let DPU of 0 be the min cost for a tour starting from U and ending at U, which is basically case 1, and let DPU of 1 be the min cost for a tour starting from U and ending inside the subtree of U, and that corresponds to case 2. So based on this DP state, which as you can see is somewhat related to the CSES or 3 diameter DP state, let's try to find the base case and the recursive case. So for the base case, as I mentioned in the first 2 videos itself, we consider the leaf, and based on the leaf node we can easily deduce that DP leaf 0 is equal to DP leaf 1, which is 0, and that's because we are considering the subtree of the leaf, and obviously a min cost tour will start from the leaf and end at the leaf because a leaf does not have any subtree, it has only one node in its subtree. So that's why DP leaf 0 will be equal to DP leaf 1 will be equal to 0. And now let's consider the recursive case. So in the recursive case we need to evaluate the values of dpu0 and dpu1 using the children of u. So for dpu of 0, let's try to analyze the path or the tour. So we know the tour starts at u and ends at u. So it basically goes from u to v1. Then if we denote v1 subtree by a triangle, it will basically visit all the vertices over here inside v1 subtree. Then it will come back to v1 and then it will go to u. Then from u it goes to its second child v2, and then it basically will visit all the nodes inside v2 subtree. Then it will go back to v2 and it will basically go back to u. And similarly, you can do this same process for each of the children vi. And based on this general pattern, you can see that for any I going from 1 to k, note that u has k children. So for any I going from 1 to k, what we are essentially doing is we are first adding weight of u to the child vi, which basically corresponds to this movement. Then we are basically exploring all the children inside vi subtree. So that corresponds to the term dpvi0, because we know from the definition of dpvi0 that the path will basically start from vi and end at vi. So that's why we are dpvi0. Then we know that after we visit vi subtree, so let's denote it by a triangle. So after we visit vi subtree, we go back to vi and then we basically go to u from vi. So that corresponds to weight vi comma u. And note that this is an undirected graph, so weight vi comma u is the same as weight u comma vi. And hence this term is just equal to this dpvi0 plus 2 into weight u comma vi. And since we do this for each of its children, we just uh, can write it in a closed form as dpu0 is the sum of I is 1 to k dpvi0 plus weight of u comma vi, which is basically the weight of the edge from u to vi. And this is a simple closed form expression for computing dpu0. To compute dpu1, let's again use the tour diagram. So for the computation of dpu1, let's analyze the tour. We know the tour will begin at u and end in one of u's children's subtrees. So let this child be vi, and we basically know that for all j going from 0 to I minus 1 and all j going from I plus 1 to k, the path will be from u to vj, then to vj subtree. So for all these j from 1 to I minus 1, it will go inside the subtree. Then it will go back to u, and this will basically happen for each of these j. And this is the exact same case which we handled in the computation of dpu0. However, the only difference is that we basically have something different happening for the vi'th child. So for all children other than vi, the same case happens which we considered in the previous dp state. So the only difference will be that for vi, we will go from u to vi, then we will basically go inside vi's subtree, but we will not come back. So we'll just stay inside vi's subtree and we won't take this edge. So this edge which we used to take before will not be taken, and that will be the only difference. So if we want to find an expression for dp u1, then we basically need to take the min for all I going from 1 to k of something, right? Because I is the node which we fixed. So the min of I going from 1 to k of the expression sum of dp vj0 plus 2 times the weight from u to vj. However, this will apply only for all j going from 1 to k and j not equal to I. So because for all the children vj not equal to I, then for them we are exploring the whole subtree and we are coming back to u. However, for the child vi, we know that we are essentially going from u to vi and we are ending up inside the subtree of vi. And if you recall correctly, this will actually be dpvi1 because we are going inside the subtree of vi. So that term is actually dpvi1, and you should spend some time thinking about this. If you don't understand this fully, just let me know in the comments and I'll explain it again. So this is our expression. However, this expression has two loops inside because one loop will be for all I and one loop will be for all j, and this is obviously too slow. So I'll just remove this expression and rewrite it in a better way. So another way to think about this expression is that what we are essentially doing is taking the sum for all I from 1 to k dp vi0 plus 2 times the weight of the edge from u to vi. So this term is common for all. So instead of like this was actually dpu0, but let's basically assign it some number sum because this term is coming in all the cases. So let's assign it some number sum. Then we know that if we fix vi, and you know what vi is? Vi is the child inside whose subtree the tour is ending. So if we fix the particular I, then we know that the cost will actually change, and what will actually change is that instead of dpvi0 plus 2 times the weight from u to vi, so instead of this we are replacing it by dpvi1 plus weight from u to vi. So this change we need to reflect, and that can be obviously reflected in O of 1 because this term is just sum plus dpvi1 and minus dpvi0 and basically minus weight from u to vi. Because if you consider the value of sum and if you just work it out by hand, then you will notice that we need to perform this transformation. So we need to make expression 1 into expression 2 for vi. So for all other vj, this term will remain the same. This term over here will remain the same. Only for I it will change. And this is the simplest way to reflect the change in basically one step. And based on this new expression, we can easily conclude that the dp transition will just be minimum of sum minus dpvi0 plus dpvi1 minus the weight of the edge from u to vi. And you should pause the video and just read this text to briefly re-understand it if you didn't understand it fully. And obviously you should realize that sum is the same expression which we computed for dpu0. Otherwise you were not listening to what I just said before. So based on this working that we did, we accomplished the task of finding the recurrence for our dp state. And now the only thing left is the final answer. So the final answer will just be the minimum of two possibilities. The first possibility is ending the path at 1, and the second possibility is ending the path inside the subtree of 1. And that is what we essentially did in the beginning of the problem. That's what motivated the whole DP state. And as an extra challenge, I want you to prove that we'll always consider dp11. So prove that dp11 will always be less than dp10. The proof should be very simple, but you can just mention it in the comments so that I can better understand that you all are following my logic. And now let's just look at the code for this problem. So the code is very short and straightforward. So first I have the global variable then the adjacency list, which is 3D because we use long vector. So that's why we use 3D. And note that I always use 3D when storing weights of edges in a graph. And there are multiple ways of storing it in the adjacency list, but this is what I'm most comfortable. Then we have a DP array, DPU0 and DPU1, as I have explained just now. Then I have the Boolean isLeaf and I have the DFS. After the DFS, or basically in the main function, I read in the graph, I call DFS and I print the answer. The answer is the minimum of these two quantities, but again I want you to prove in the comments that uh, the value of dp11 will always be less than dp10. So just explain it in the comments why you think it's going to be true, or if you don't agree with the statement, just say why it's going to be false. Then in the DFS function, I follow the 3 steps. The first step is the base case. The second step is the computation of answers for each child. Then the third step is computing DPU0 and DPU1. So in DPU0, we store the value, the sum of DPV0 plus 2 times the weight. So that's actually a sum. So we can define sum to be equal to DPU0. And based on sum, we know that DPU1, we can initially set DPU1 to be sum, and then we can basically take DPU1 is the minimum of what it was before, and this changing of terms, which I've just mentioned. So the changing of terms was we do sum plus dpvi1. So I'll write it in that order. So what we basically do is the sum plus dpv1, and we subtract dpv0, and we also subtract the weight. So this is the value which we'll take a min with, and that's all that's there in our code. So let's just submit this code to see that it gets accepted. So as you could see, my code got accepted. There's actually some assumptions I'm making in my code, and I want you to find out what assumption I'm making in my code. This code actually gets accepted and the assumptions which I'm making are correct, but I need you to find out and write in the comments what slight error I may be doing in this section of the code, and why does this section of the code actually work. Because if you think carefully about it, this is not exactly what I mentioned in the whiteboard, and more specifically because of this statement. And this statement is actually not what I mentioned in the whiteboard initially. So I want you to figure out why this statement is true, and I need you to prove that dp11 is less than dp10. You will actually realize that these two statements are very closely related. And more specifically, if you just prove that dpu1 is less than dpu0, you'll automatically understand why this works. And I just want you to mention it in the comments if you understood what I'm saying. So I hope you like this problem and my solution to this problem. So this problem basically taught us a new DP state, which is DPU0 and DPU1. Notice that this state was quite similar to the CSES tree diameter problem, and but obviously DPU0 and DPU1 meant completely different things. And we understood how to find the base cases and the recurrence for the DP state from this problem. In the next few videos, I'll be covering similar DP on trees problems with interesting DP on tree states which are interlinked with each other, and they are not just random DP on trees problems. So thank you for watching this video.